Better on the backs of those who came before you is what we're all here and all about. So clap it up for yourselves for showing up for yourselves and your lineage today. It's the most important thing. So William, to answer the first part of your question, are we being sold fear? I think every truth is a half lie, right? And so yes, we are being sold fear, but at the same time, there are things that we should be very afraid of with artificial intelligence. Like Wyclef mentioned, AI has been around for a very, very long time. If you use Face ID in your phone, that's an AI. Every voice agent you chat to, whether it's Hey Siri or Okay Google or Hey Alexa, that's all AI. And sorry if I made your phone go off right now, right? We've been using and interacting with AI every day for a very long time. So the robots aren't coming, they're here. But some of the ways that they're being used are dangerous. Now, it's not a conversation I don't want to scare you away from AI, so we can maybe dive into that a little bit later, but there's AI being used by police. Like, so one of the things I talked about on Key's podcast, there was a startup in New York that charged the NYPD like $8 million for a software they created that said, we could take their Facebook profile and predict that they're gonna commit a crime. No you can't, right? And so there's a lot of those kind of technologies coming out where people are using AI claiming that they can do things that either one, it shouldn't do, or it doesn't do well enough to actually be used in that context. And so I think while we have a responsibility to use AI to shape our own personal futures, using the 5 tools he mentioned, all the other ones on the market, a lot of the information you're gonna get here today, we also have a responsibility to shape how people around us can use it too, right? So there's a policy play there. What are the rules? What are the boundaries we're gonna put around these AI systems? Now, to take it back to the question you asked about storytelling, and what are we not being told about AI? So, back in the 1940s, there was a guy, he was a science fiction writer, and he wrote a series of short stories. Now, mind you, in 1940, man, computers weren't even small enough to fit inside of like a building, right? Like they had the big computers with like the things they had to go poke in and out. It was like they were huge. But even during this time, this science fiction writer imagined a future where humans had created robots that were human-like. And then they started beefing. They called them the Great Robot Wars. This series of short stories was called I, Robot. I, Robot was written by Isaac Asimov from 1940 to 1950. Right now, we're still living in Isaac Asimov's imagination. We're trying to bring his world to life. Someone he wrote that stuff over 80 years ago. So what that taught me was, if we're still living in some science fiction writer's imagination, why can't it be my imagination? And so we have the opportunity not only to just take a tool and make money off of it, but to shape the entire collective imagination about what happens next. I just spoke at a conference where Elon Musk was at back in March. Elon Musk's imagination shouldn't be the only one shaping the reality we live in.
Say that twice.
Mark Zuckerberg, no. Because if we don't intentionally shape the future, we're gonna become victims of it. We're gonna be trying to work to undo a future somebody else shaped for us. And we don't need to do that. Our ancestors already fought for us to be able to be in these rooms to equally shape what comes next. So now it's on us to step up into this technology and use that to actually build the future that we want to see and exist in, not a future that's different from the one someone else designed.
You take a clap break for that one. I need a clap break just to digest what I just heard. How many people in the room, I want to do this for this panel, how many people in the room are entrepreneurs? You're building a company, small business, big business, look at that. How many people are students? You're a student, you're in college, university, high school, whatever. All right. How many people are on career trajectory? You got a job and you're building the ladder. How many people are creatives, musicians, actors, producers, etc.? Dig that.
First thing that I want to say is, do you know who you really are? That's the first thing I want you to understand. The power of imagination. Real simple example. I used to take a donkey to school. I was in Haiti, on a donkey, going to school. I lived in a hut. Around the corner was a cemetery. It's me. And every Friday we'd play a game. I get on a donkey, and they said, "Where you going?" I said, "I go to America. I'd be back. The power of imagination. Every time I went around that cemetery, this was our Disneyland. No one could tell me in my mind that I wasn't gonna get to America. So I'm asking you, do you really know who you are? Right? So that means when I enter a room in Google, I understand 1804, Toussaint Louverture, the first black general, fought for me, died in a dungeon in France. The information has already been given. So our jobs is to continue that. One of the things that I say is we talk about the music side and different things. I just want you to understand, here's a theory, here's a fact. Einstein, the law of relativity in one hand, and on the other hand, the violin, and he was an amazing piano player. So I start off by telling you that, so the Big Bang Theory for me is vibration, energy. And there's no vibration and energy without music. You see, when elected officials want to get elected, who they call? The musicians, right? So I say that as we move towards the future, when we think of music, we can't just think of it as singing and dancing. We have to think of music as mathematicians. The highest form of calculus is music. So one of the things is, as we move towards the future and encouraging companies like Google and different companies, how when a kid is 5, 6 years old, 7 years old, we start to give them that information. So by the time they turn 15, they are ready to compete in a world that we're moving forward in. So what's important is, as we share this information in this room, make sure also that the politicians that you are voting for are not the politicians of the past. Make sure that they are the ones that are forward thinking and are going to protect the policies of the next generation to come. This is how I approach the room whenever I'm in Google.